Welcome to Rossman Radio, the podcast where we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs, founders, and e-commerce brands that are breaking through the noise and scaling like never before. I'm Elise, and Rossman Media is a trend-forward social media agency specializing in going viral and delivering 10x returns for the brands that we work with. Each week, I'll sit down with industry disruptors to talk about the highs, the lows, and the exact strategies that help them grow from their first sale to multi-million-dollar milestones. If you're ready to unlock what it really takes to win on social, build a community, and multiply your revenue, then you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back to Rossman Radio. I'm your host, Rob Nichols. Today I'm joined by someone who's taken a bold idea and turned it into a brand that's changing the way we snack. Dr. Juan Salinas is the founder of Pnuff, a high-protein, tough snack that's caught the attention of Shark Tank. Juan is an amazing journey as both a scientist and an entrepreneur, and today we're here to talk about how Pnuff came to life and what it's been like to grow the brand and where it's headed next. So Juan, thanks for joining.
What's going on, Rob? Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks. So what inspired you to start Pnuff, and what was the first breakthrough moment when you knew it could really work?
Well, what inspired me is probably, my lifestyle. I've been in sports all my life, and I was constantly searching for nutritious products that I could have on a daily basis. And I was having a really hard time figuring out what was good and what was not, So I wanted to create something that people didn't have to guess like I did. So that's how the idea came about. And to have it in a more fun way than a protein bar or a shake, that was my intention, is to create something that was a little more fun, something you can have any time of the day. And by the way, you don't have to be a sports person or an athlete. It's just for everybody, but it's got all the science behind it, which is what makes it pretty cool.
Yeah, I know I use it, obviously it's better if you're active and, try to live a healthy lifestyle. But I feel like I'm eating healthier if I have something with a little bit of protein in it. Looking back since your Shark Tank experience, what's been the most exciting win for the brand? What did that experience on Shark Tank mean to you personally, and how has that changed things for Pnuff?
Yeah, Shark Tank was amazing, right? I mean, I consider myself extremely lucky just to have been part of it, because I don't know the statistics exactly, but I heard that it's probably just as hard to win the lottery, to go in to be selected to go in that show. Maybe not as hard, but it's to me it was a blessing. What is done for a business is amazing. Just from the airing of the first show, when it first aired out, man, wow! I couldn't even imagine how many orders we got from just that one airing. And obviously, they continue to do the re-airings every so often, and we do see the sales spikes. So not only in sales, but also it kind of built credibility to the brand. When a shark got really excited about it and saying, man, I overheard, he didn't say it on TV, but he said it to another entrepreneur. It's like, man, this is one of the best snacks I ever had in the show. So that was amazing, pretty reassuring that we were going in the right track. And to have Mark Cuban as part of our partner, it's been great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know that, things have changed, a lot in the marketing environment since then, especially with digital marketing. And you've tried a lot of different channels. I know that you're in retail, but also Amazon. You've, tried TikTok a little bit. Which channels do you feel like have clicked for you, and which ones still feel a little bit like a puzzle?
Depends what year you're talking about.
How about now? How about what in 2025? After all of the initial huge growth, what channels are your bread and butter right now, and which ones are you still sort of, I
would say it's a combination of both, direct to consumer and retail. We're about 50-50 right now, which is, I think, is a good mix. But within each I think, we've done a lot of learning. So, for instance, in retail, we found that obviously not every store is the right store, is the right fit for us. And even within the store, there's also sections of the store where we are a better fit than in another section. At the beginning, we were like really hard on trying to go into the main snack set because we were like, well, else that people go to try to find snacks. But then we realized that, we're competing against the Frito-Lays and the Cheetos of the world, which are not only lower price, but also take center stage on the shelf. So we were a huge disadvantage. And what we found is like, hey, if we moved, to the better for you, gluten-free, healthy lifestyle section, people are more interested in trying to find this kind of products, and that's a better fit for us. So even within that channel, we have been discovering new things that are better for the brand. But I think right now you're game to play on either one. You could play strong on DTC, you could play strong on retail, and having both, they kind of feed on each other and complement each other.
Completely. Yeah, it's about finding that right mix. We've got a lot of brands that are starting, especially like consumables that want to have a big presence on like paid social media, on like with their digital marketing efforts. The problem that we've seen a lot with clients that are coming on is that they want to play within these sandboxes that are really designed for like CPG brands that aren't consumables. To be honest with you, they have a lot of rules. I know if you want to sell on Amazon, you got to jump through a lot of hoops. You have to make sure that you have a certain return rate that's under a threshold. You have to make sure your reviews aren't too bad. There's so much to consider in all of these. How do you navigate that aspect of it on the direct to consumer front, on like online? It's like selling through your website. How have you been able to navigate that?
Bro, it's insane. Just like you mentioned. And every day, there's new rules, and every day you learn new things. Our main two channels on DTC is Amazon and our website. You mentioned both of them. And I feel like we're sort of like competing with each other, Obviously, our margins are much better on our website than they are on Amazon. So we're trying to bring people more into our website. And in our website, we can interact more with them. We have a story there. We have resources that they can read, newsletters, things like that. So we want to bring them into our website. But Amazon, obviously has Prime, which it's hard to compete with. How can we ship something and have it in somebody's hands the next day? I haven't figured that out yet, how to do it on our website. And it just keeps getting worse. Like prices for shipping just keeps getting higher and higher. So, we've been trying to create, for instance, certain advantages for people to come into our website. For instance, one of the things that we did is build your own. So with build your own, someone can come in and mix and match different flavors. And you can't do that on Amazon. Amazon is a set, flavor mix, and that's what you get. So some people come to our website because of that. In terms of Amazon, one of the things that we found that you have to be Prime, right? That's the advantage of it. But it's really hard to work with them unless you're like fully on top of it. Sending product to the warehouse, a lot of it's getting lost. A lot of it goes out of code, while you're still sending more product in, which you can't figure it out. How come they didn't sell that, So, there's a lot of management that needs to take place on Amazon. If you leave it on just to write on itself, it will start to corrode, and you will start to see it on your sales results. So I think it takes a lot more effort and time to just manage Amazon.
Yeah, I think that fulfillment and the shipping is both what drives people to Amazon and what makes it so complicated to work within that system. Is because of that, 2-day shipping for some brands is easier than others, and especially when you're talking about all of the requirements that they have, it's a full-time job just managing that channel. Luckily, you guys have some good awareness out there and some retail presence to where you don't have to fully rely on it. But it is very challenging, and we've seen. I know a lot of our clients come to us about like TikTok Shop, for instance, is a newer channel that everybody wants to be on. And it's similar. It's run by some people who came over from Amazon, and they brought the same model over to TikTok. TikTok wants to compete and be in that market, but at the same time, especially for smaller brands, especially for people who don't have a full marketing team, it's nearly impossible to break into those channels without a little help. I think that the bigger challenge is not only finding the right channel mix that works for you, but just having the time to navigate all of those channels. How would you say your own like internal team has been at managing, at juggling all of these efforts? Like, how do you, as a brand that's still relatively growing, how do you manage internally your marketing efforts?
Well, I mean, I got to tell you that we've gone through. Well, I don't have enough fingers to count how many agencies we've hired to help us manage Amazon. And, they all come to you with examples and, hey, we can do this better. This other agency didn't do that. We do this. And at the end of the day, the results are similar. So we've taken it inside as well, and it's also very difficult, obviously I don't have someone, in-house as an expert on Amazon. And so we sort of been learning about it and learning little tricks here and there. Some things work, some don't, but it's, like I say, it's a full-time job. So I'm constantly looking out. I'm looking out still for partners, to see if there's someone out there that can kind of come in as a partner, maybe a profit sharing in somehow, and see if we can, nail Amazon better. But I think it's a continuous journey, man.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? What do you think? You guys work with Temu? Like, what do you think of Temu? TEMU.
We have done some work with Temu. I think that they've flooded the market. So they spent more on advertising their own app than most large brands spent in their entire year. I think over the past 2 years. Like, I think they started, their big flood was in 2023, and then they kept it going. But they did do the TikTok strategy, which was they blanket the market with advertising to try to get as many app downloads as possible. And then they use the existing channels that they have to really push those over the edge. A lot of affiliate marketing. So a lot of working with like smaller creators who don't have anything to lose, but to, post about it and get a little small cut of the revenue. But unfortunately for them, there is now a stigma that comes with that. Like, using Temu as an adjective to describe something. If I say my product is I got it off Temu, it's not a positive connotation, right? It's like you hear that and you're like, oh, it's cheap. It's like it's not like you got something great. So like they did what they wanted to do in a way, but I feel like in the process they didn't focus as much on their brand image. At least with TikTok, when they came into the market, it's not thought of as a channel that's a lower quality channel. It's now like a preferred channel for younger people. But Temu, I think, it's an interesting case.
I agree, man. Because I did try to work with Alibaba also in the past, and I mean, even their platform was, in Chinese. So it was like, it was very like, I mean, like, and I think still when you have, we still deal with a lot of people overseas, and not necessarily people that understand the culture even, or how things work here in the US. So, but I'm interested though. I feel like there's got to be another company, a competitor that could give Amazon a little bit of trouble.
I think there's a lot that people are trying. I know Walmart's been pushing really heavily into e-commerce lately too. We've got a lot of clients that are coming on that are already on Amazon that have gotten contacted by Walmart sales reps about Walmart.com. Have you guys tried that at all?
Yeah, we did, man. We found that I don't know lately, but when we started it with them, maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, the platform was very difficult to work with. And we were like, oh, but we ended up doing it. And then it was just like, too much work for what we're getting. But the other day I was talking to a broker for Walmart, because we're like, maybe it's about time that we test the waters with Walmart. And one of the things that they said is like, it seems like the buyers are really looking into brands that are already on Walmart.com or are getting into Walmart.com and see how they do on Walmart.com before they bring them into Walmart stores. So that's another incentive now to, kind of do at least decently okay on Walmart.com, at least have presence in there. If you ever, if a brand's ever thought about getting into the Walmart, brick and mortars. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that one thing that we'd emphasize too, we've had this similar experience where it is a lot of work. It's another channel that's a lot of on like maintenance and making sure that you're not getting flagged, incorrectly. But it does lend you some credibility to be on that platform. And then when you do well on that platform, it gives you a better likelihood of having some placement within Walmart stores, which obviously is gigantic if you can get that. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good reason to try the channel, and especially when it's still tied to some brick and mortar retail.
Yeah, because I don't see myself really. I mean, I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. And I never really said, hey, let me check what Walmart has, to see let me compare prices with Walmart. So I don't know what drives someone to actually buy out of Walmart. We get some orders from Walmart, not a lot, but we get them. Walmart.com. Maybe these are people that are just, really, loyals of Walmart, and, they want to support that way. But I haven't seen that much of any advantage that Walmart can bring that Amazon doesn't already have.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of there's some rural, smaller towns where people like to pick up in store or do all their shopping there anyway. I know that my family during the pandemic used to place orders on Walmart.com and then go pick up in store. But that was an extraordinary circumstance, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, it does seem like Amazon is still the behemoth, and if you can do well on Amazon, you can still have a good base to build on your own website. Speaking of, where do you see Pnuff going? Like, what's your vision for the future of the brand? Are you looking to expand and really build this brand awareness and brand presence for the brand? Are you more looking for, outside investors to come in and take over? Where do you see the brand going?
Yeah, we're actually going through that right now. We're actually speaking to a few investors to try and raise some money, man. Just to play the game, in retail, it's very expensive to get into stores. That's something that people don't realize. They figure it's like, you can just, have your product on, whatever, Walmart or Target or Whole Foods. And there's a lot of costs that takes into place even before you sell one unit. So we're trying to raise some money because we have actually foregone some opportunities because the cost of entry was so high that we're like, but at the end of the day, Mark Cuban is steals it in us too. It's all about the bottom line. He likes to see, profits, right? It's like, even if you grow slow, but don't give away, everything and then, pretend that you're doing great with some high sales when, you're negative. So we're trying to follow that model. We're growing slowly. We're trying to be very targeted. We want to do. So that's part of the strategy, is to continue working here in the Northeast right now, where we have our factory here. So we're trying to grow the market here, and some of those targeted retailers that we think our product is a good fit with. Continue to work with the algorithms, trying to get more people into our website and into Amazon. And then we're coming out with some new innovation. We're trying to expand the flavor line that we have. Probably substitute 1 or 2 flavors for some new ones. But that's not going to come until next year. And again, that will be part of the investment. If we're able to get some good investment, it will go into obviously sales, marketing, and some product development.
Great. That sounds, I mean, I think that you've got a lot to build on. So, I mean, I'm excited to see where that journey takes you for sure. And I think that there's for all of the difficulties that the brand has presented, I think the fact that you've gotten such good traction early on it bodes well for it. You've got a good track record with it. It's just a matter of how can you expand and expand efficiently and in a way that doesn't, drive you crazy.
It's patience, man. How much patience do you have? And I'm not getting any younger too, man. So I'm like,
Try to limit the gray hair along the way.
I need to retire in 5 years now. Okay, what am I gonna do? But I'm enjoying the journey, dude. That's the best part of it. It's a lot of ups and downs. It's tough, but the journey is fun, man. I'm gonna continue until the Lord, says, "Okay, you're done."
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. Your story's inspiring. I know a lot of founders, a lot of smaller brands listening can relate to the balancing act between building a great product and finding the right ways to market it, and that's kind of what we're all about here. So I appreciate you sharing your story. And for anybody interested in following Juan and his products, you can go to Pnuff. That's PNUFF.com. You can order online, order through the website. It makes him more money than anyone.
It will give me a bigger smile, but either way.
All right. Thanks so much, Juan.